Okay, welcome back. So the last time we met, we had done this HTML page. We had learned about HTML and we had added the HTML here and we had added the images here. Okay, now we're going to learn about something called the cascading style sheet or the CSS. And that's going to allow us to put style into our web page. Colors, we'll be able to format it so the text is in the center, etc. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to add a new file and make sure that it's spelled the way that I'm spelling it. So it's styles.css. And that extension, the information after the dot that's called an extension, that tells the computer and the browser what type of file it is. So I'm saying that I'm making a file type of CSS and I'm going to call that file styles. Okay, and you'll know if you did it correctly, you'll see this little icon here. Okay. Now, also notice that you have two files that you can go back and forth between. So unlike in Python, we only had like the main.py file. We have two files here, the index.html and we have the styles.css. Now, in order to link these two files, okay, you guys don't have this yet, but I have typed this in ahead of time. So you're going to need to type this in. Okay, you're in between the head of your HTML file, you need to put a link in, all right? And it's going to say link REL, that stands for relationship. And you're going to say equals quotation mark style sheet, then a space, then href equals styles.css. And make sure it has that exact thing, okay? And you can tell in a second that if it's not done correctly. So this should be in the head of your HTML. Now let's go over to the style sheet and start actually adding things in to check it. Now the first thing I kind of want to do is style the background. So I'm going to give the background a color here. Okay. Okay, now I have this, let's see if I can pull this out. Okay, I have this this website attached to your assignment on Google Classroom. It's like giving me a little bit of a hard time. Okay, now it's there. Okay, so you can open this up and this will give you some hex codes or a way to describe color. So the first thing I want to do, the CSS formatting looks different than the HTML. HTML, we use like angle brackets and slashes to make these tags. Okay, and in the CSS, we're going to look at the names of the tags. So the first tag I am going to style is the body tag. So in CSS, I'm just going to write the word body. And then I'm going to open a curly bracket like this, okay? And you'll notice that when I pressed return, it gave me the closing curly bracket, and that's great. Okay, so I'm gonna go on each line and I'm going to add a style. And this is the CSS language uses curly brackets to show what style you want contained in for the body. So the body of the web page is like just the entire web page. I'm gonna add a background color to this, like this, okay? And I'm going to go here and I'm going to choose like a dark color. So I'm going to pull this over here and maybe pull it down so I can get like kind of a darker color like that. And I'm going to use this value here. This is called a hex value. You could also use a color name, but there are far more hex values than color names. So I just would rather use hex value. Notice the hex value has a hashtag in front of it, and that's really important. Now, when I refresh it, I will know that the style sheet and the HTML sheet are linked if the background actually changes. If the background doesn't change, that means that the code up here in HTML is not correct. Either the name of your file is not correct or the reference here is not correct. Okay, I'm clicking back over to CSS. All right, so that's the background color. Now I'm also I'm going to leave it as it is right now. Okay, I'm gonna go beyond the closing curly bracket here, and I want to style H1. My first heading text. So I'm going to say H1. I'm going to open a curly bracket right here, and I am going to style something called color. Now, what I didn't mention is after I say the attribute I want to style or the characteristic I want to style, I'm going to put a colon in, and then it automatically gives me a semicolon. Okay. And the structure of CSS is you have to write the attribute you want to change, the value separated by a colon with the value you want to change it to, right? I'm changing the attribute background color, and I'm changing it to this color. And then the last thing you have on that line is a semicolon. So the value you want to change it to needs to be between the colon and the semicolon. So let's go here. I'm going to make it be a kind of a lighter color here. So let me pull this up and get like a really light color here so that it pops. You always want to put a light color against a dark color. So here's that. I'm going to refresh it. And so what you can see is the color changes the font color. Okay. I could also put a background color. So let me copy and paste this. I could put a background color in my H1 as well. So let's say I want another dark color. Let's make it this color. Let's grab this and put this into my background color. Okay. All right. And if I refresh that, you can see that it's sort of, let me refresh it here. So you can see that you have dark on dark and then a light on top of that. Okay, another thing I want to do is I want to center the text into the center. So I'm going to say text dash align colon, oops, and I'm going to say center semicolon. I also want to change, I'm going to do a few changes all at once, font size, and I'm going to change it to 50px. And I want you, for this case, you can have different colors, but I do want you to have the same font size so that I can kind of see that that has been changed. Okay, so it's aligned in the center. It has um, the font size has been changed. Okay, all right. And now the last thing I want you to do is I want you to add something called padding. Okay, padding makes it so that the letters and the top of the box are not next to each other. So I want to say padding. I'll show you what this looks like. 10px. So when I refresh this, you can see, oh, I might have to actually push it out this way. Yeah, it looks like I have to refresh here first and then it refreshes here. So what it did was it gave a little space above and below um, the text. All right. Now H1 is styled. Now I also want you to style H2 and paragraph tags. So the way that we're going to do that is just like we're going to copy H1 style. We're going to go below it and paste it. And instead of H1, I'm going to put H2. And I'm just going to start changing some things. I'll change the background color. The text align center you can keep as is. I'm going to change the font size here. And the padding I'm going to keep the same. Okay, so I'll change the background color, the color, and the font size, and the other two objects. Okay, so I've just done that, and what you can see is that it actually, when I do it with my H2, it changes two sections of my web page because there are two H2s in my web page, so it changes both of them. Okay, and finally, I want to do this with my paragraph tag. So I'm going to copy it, I'm going to paste it, I'm going to say P for paragraph. I'm going to reduce the font size to 35. I'll keep the padding the same. I'm going to put the text align to the left this time, and I'm going to change both the color and the background color. Okay, so I just paused and I did that, and you'll see that we have this here. Now, they may not be the most aesthetically pleasing, okay, but they are, they have been changed. And we'll go through and make like color schemes later on when we get to the projects. The last thing I want to do with the body is because I don't like it when the text stretches across the entire page, so I'm going to set a width for the body. So I'm going to say width, I'm going to say 800px. Now, if I do that, what ends up happening is like the text all shifts to the left, but I want the text to be center. I want all the content to be in the center. So what I'm going to do is say, this is the code for display block, and I'm going to say margin colon 0 space auto. Okay. And once I do that, that is going to align me into the center. All right. Now, what you'll notice is that the image has not been changed, and that's going to be our next video. So how do we style images? But for now, all of the text, the color, the background color, and the font size should be changed.